Very good morning, students. Today we are going to study the next lesson of history, that is the weavers, iron smelters and factory owners. What is happening in the time of British period? What happened there in British period to weavers, iron melters and the factory owners, that we are going to see. So what is the lesson name? Weavers, iron melters and the factory owners. So this lesson we are coming lessons we will see what happened to the textile industry here in India, then what was the after effect of that one, how these people are participating in the freedom fight here in India, that we will study in the coming lesson. So it is basic for the coming lessons. Okay, we can see here it is the trading ship on the port of the Surat in 17th century. In 17th century, the many ships are coming to the port where it is in Surat. Then that is in Gujarat, and Surat in Gujarat on the west coast of India was one of the most important port to Indian Ocean trade. Dutch and England trading ships began using the port from early 17th century. This its importance declined in 18th century. Up to in the 17th century, we can see the use of port, this Surat port. Then slowly it is declining. So what it is like that things we will see in the lesson. This chapter tells the story of the craft and industries of India during the British rule by focusing the two industries, namely textile and iron and steel. In this lesson we are going to study two things, textile and iron industry. So in the starting we can see we was working without any industrial development. Slowly the industrial development it is coming to India, and what is happening afterwards, that we can see. The industrialization of Britain had close connection with the conquest of the colonization of India. When the British people they came here in India, by that time they already started industrial development there in the British in Britain or in England, that we have seen in the chapter 2. Then the East India Company having the interest to in trade to led to the occupation of territory, and how the pattern of trade changed over the decades. In the starting they are coming as a traders, then slowly they are becoming the rulers. We studied the lesson name like that, trade to territory. Are you remembering that lesson, second lesson? Okay, then with the then in the late 18th century, the company was buying goods in India and exporting them to England and Europe, making profit through this sale. In the starting, when they came here, that time they was purchasing Indian product, and that they was taking to European market and even England market. By that they was making profit. Then slowly what is happening, they are started to produce that thing there in the England, and they are asking Indians to stop the production here in India. With the growth of industrial production, British industries began to see India as a vast market for their industrial product, and over time manufactured goods from Britain began flooding India. Please underline that sentence. In the starting they was purchasing Indian product and taking to European market, and when they started industrial development or mass production, what they are doing, they are bringing that things in cheap rate and flooding here, and throwing here or making many number here in India. And with that what they are doing, they are making the problem in the textile market here in India. Next it is Indian textiles and the world market. Let us first look at the textile production. We can see the different patterns like that things here it is given, and the in coming part also we can see many types of printing work what we was doing here in India. Around 1750, before the British conquered Bengal, India was by far the world's largest producer of cotton textile. When British was conquering India or becoming the rulers, by that time, India was the largest producer of cotton or cotton textile in the world. Indian textile had long been renowned both for their fine quality and the exquisite craftsmanship. We can see Indian cotton was getting a name or fame because of the quality as well as the work what they was doing, the people, the craft of the people. We can see the pictures what they made here in the left side of our textbook. Here we can see that one very nicely they were making the without any machines they was weaving the cloth. Then there was extensively trade in the Southeast Asia, that is Java, Sumatra and the Penganga, and the West and the Central Asia. We was our cloth was going to different parts of Asia, that is in the Southeast Asia and Central Asia as well as the West Asia. From 16th century, European trade companies began to buying Indian textile for sale in Europe. What is happening? The Europeans came here in 16th century and they started to purchase Indian things. Memories for flourishing trade and craftsmanship of Indian weavers is preserved in many words still current in English and other languages. And it is interesting to trace the origin of such words and see what they tell us, what the word they used even in Britain or the European continent, which word they used, that was the Indian related word. It is, which one originated from the basically from some place name or from some use of that particular thing. According to that we are going to see now. Words tell us histories. What's history? The words are telling to us. European traders first encountered fine cotton cloth from India carried by Arab merchants in Mosul in present day Iraq. How the British people or England people or European people, they come to know about Indian cloth, that is from the Arab merchants. Please underline. So they began referring to all finely woven cloth as muslin, the word that acquired wide currency. Means it is they are getting from the Mosul, that is the place name in Iraq, and because of that one they are giving the cloth what they was purchasing from India like muslin. And then when the Portuguese first came to India, search in spices, they landed in Calicut on Kerala coast in the southwest India. The cotton textiles which they took back to Europe along with the spices came to be called calico, that is derived from Calicut, where the Portuguese or the Europeans first came to India, that is in Calicut. That also Portuguese people, they came first, and because of that what they started to call the cloth what they taken to Europe, that is calico. And subsequently calico became the general name for all the cotton textile, because the Portuguese people started to take that cloth, Indian cloth, and sale in the European market, and started to given the name what Portuguese given, the in same name they started to call all the cotton textile. And there were many other words such as points like popularity of Indian textiles, Western market, that is we can see figure 3. You can see the page in order to book the English East India Company sent to the representatives in Calcutta in 1730. We can see this is the figure 3.1 and what is the order form what they made and in what names they given. If you are reading that, you can understand what name they given and from which word it is originated. The order of that year was for 5,89,000 pieces of cloth. Browsing through the order book, you would have seen the list of 98 varieties of cotton and silk cloth. There was purchasing from India 98 variety of cotton clothes and even silk cloth. These were known by their common name in European trade, a piece of cloth, usually woven cloth piece that were 20 yards long and 1 yard wide. What was the cloth name was given, common name was given, and what was the measurement of the cloth, that was 20 yard long and 1 yard wide. And figure 3, page from an order book of the East India Company in 1730. Notice how each item in the order books was carefully priced in London, and these orders have to be placed 2 years in advance because This was the time required to send order to India, get a specific cloth woven and shipped to Britain. Once the cloth piece arrived in London, they were put up for the auction or sold, and they are giving the cloth when they want. Before that, 2 years before, they are giving the order, because we want to make that particular pattern and it want to be shipped to European market, then only they can make their sale there. So 2 years before they are giving the order, and they are giving like that the place name and the love piece, like that, and what is the price and how many quantity they want, everything very clearly they written. And now look at the names of the different varieties of the cloth in the book. Amongst the piece ordered in the bulk were printed cotton cloth called chins, or kosas, or kasa, and bandana. These three things was getting the bulk order: chins, kosas, and bandana. Do you know where the English term chins comes from? It is derived from the Hindi word chint, the cloth with a small and colorful flowery design. Please underline, chins means what it is: a cloth with a small and colorful flowery design. That is from Hindi word chint. Okay. And then next word, it is the kosas and the bandana. Bandana, we can see that one in the next paragraph. Similarly, the word bandana now refers to any brightly colored and printed scarf for a neck or a head. We are the European people, they are when they are moving from one place to another place, they are putting one scarf on their neck or in head, especially in the winter season. That is known as bandana. And originally the term derived from the word Hindi word bandana, that is means tying. Word meaning of bandana means tying, and referred to a variety of brightly colored cloth produced through a method of tying and dyeing. Means they will tie in one part, and which part they want to put color, that part they will keep in loose, and that part they will put in the color, and they wherever they tied, there won't be any colors. Like that they was making the tying and dyeing method. So underline that one, bandana, that is one type of cloth we was making, that with that is color method we was using that one, tying and dyeing. And it was especially it was brightly colored one, and usually it is using to tie in neck or in head. Okay, then from this we can understand what the words they used there in Europe. That words, it is from Indian words or Hindi language or the local languages of India. Some things we can see that related to place name also. We can see figure 5, it is showing like that the design of a fine cloth chins produced in Muslipattanam in Andhra Pradesh mid 19th century. It was taken to Iran as well as Europe. The shawl we can see like that, like a shawl type it is, and we was selling to Europe as well as in Iraq. And here we can see in 6 bandana design early 20th century. Notice the line that runs through the middle. Do you know why? This is Otni to tie and dye silk pieces for the seam together with a gold thread embroidery. We are making the gold means 2 pieces. It was two separate piece, making the gold thread embroidery here in the middle, because they want to fold it and tie in their neck or head. And this was the one of other method. So the words what they used in olden days, that is Indian related words. Okay, we will continue in next video.